Another question was really around sort of young people in parks and hanging out. Is there anything that we can do there? Anything that you can do? Any suggestions that you can make of us? This is a big one. I don't like three out here. I'm getting cooped up too, and of course I'm going to do what I need to do. But I'd love to be able to sort of listen to your advice around sort of young people or people gathering, and what I can help there.
I think it's extremely hard on young people. They may not get the whole totality of what's going on in the world. And I think it's upon the parents and friends to let them know that, them hanging out together, young people, they could be putting other people in their homes at risk when they return back home because they may have had some contact. What can they do? They can go out in front of their house. They can walk with you. I mean, we have to think of very creative ways, but we have to tell our young people it's important that we stay inside, and that's very difficult. And the funny thing is that I keep hearing from people of my age is that when we said to stay inside, they were like, when we said to go outside, they just want to stay inside, stay on their phones, play games. And now we say you got to stay inside. Now they want to go outside. So they have all the tools in their hands to be effective and communicate with their friends, but because we say stay inside, now they don't want to.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'd also say this is the time to sort of get on social, right? And do those things. There are a lot of, for example, on TikTok, there are a lot of challenges sort of going on that can be done indoors with your family, et cetera. So maybe that's just sort of another sort of social way to sort of do different things. Another question sort of came up was really sort of about food insecurity, food access in the Bayview. Is there anything that your officers are doing to sort of help with that?
Well, I know that there have been some food drop-off places for people that need to get food. I know that the Bayview Opera House was one place that they were dropping off food. I don't have a schedule for this week, but I know there was a schedule last week. I know there's certain schools that are dropping off food for having food pickups for people that are at home, the young people. I know officers are also went to some of the schools to help with the distribution of computers for people doing the distant learning. So we've been involved in things like that. I know that there's pop-up food drives that are not just anybody doing, they're regulated by the city where they're just giving out food at different places, and it keeps changing every day where it is. So again, the food banks are up and running and willing to help. So if you have anything or have any, well, I can't encourage people to go out and help right
now. I know. That's another big thing. I think there are a lot of people who actually would like to help, clearly have time on their hands, and it's just not very practical to do so. Although I will say that if there is an organization that you want to support and you have the means to go ahead and sort of donate to them, they have internal structures in place. So you can actually help with their operations and expanding the number of folks that they can actually help sort of moving forward.
And also understand in the Bayview, there are a lot of seniors and in your own neighborhoods. And you don't necessarily have to have contact to help out with them. You can give them a call and see if they need anything from the store while you're going, and just leave the bag out front of their door so they can get it, So there's always ways you can help out like that, taking their garbage cans out, things like that will really help them out so they don't have to expose themselves. Because there are a lot of people in the Bayview that may be at higher risk than others.
No, that's actually a really great suggestion. I personally have been volunteering with Kathy Davis in the Senior Center to deliver meals. They're doing an exceptional job delivering over 550 meals a day to seniors, and it's growing. So to the extent that we as a neighborhood and community can sort of help those who are less fortunate, I think that's a really great thing to do.
Yes.
If you want to donate to the Senior Services Center, please do so. And there are a number of other really great nonprofits that are doing work, especially during this time. Again, the Bayview Senior Services is a great example of that. And it's good to know that you are helping out. And on my route to sort of go drop something off yesterday, actually, it took me by Malcolm X, and I was watching officers actually with the mask on, helping out, and we had a quick conversation. I didn't know what they were doing, but it was the computer sort of loan program. So I think that's just a great thing to do, and thank you for that. Sort of really sort of help us all out. There was a question actually about speeding and sideshows. Like those things are still going on, right? Like they were illegal then, they're illegal now. Even though we're sort of in this sort of pandemic, what things are being done about them?
Yeah, the sideshows is a big thing that comes up in the Bayview, and we know all the areas they are. Now they're traveling sideshows. They're not just stopping in the Bayview. They're going to the Mission. They're coming from other cities, from Oakland, Richmond. Then they're coming to San Francisco, Bayview, Mission, and Ingleside, right? Areas where they have space to do their little tricks and things. We are no longer in the mode of rushing down their lights and sirens and stopping the sideshow, because that creates more of a danger for the people that's there participating, the general public, and the people that are just watching. So we decided if we go down there, they're all going to speed away and there's going to be an accident and someone's going to get hurt. That's not what we want. So as you know now, technology, all officers wear body cameras, and some of the vehicles have license plate readers on them. So what we're doing is we're staging the officers down in the area. So when they see the one car come with the lights and they start to leave, right, we stand fast, and hopefully the cameras are going to catch license plates, the license plate readers on the cars, and these cars have multiple cameras on them, and they read license plates. And then we get warrants for those license plates and say this car was at this area, and it's going to get towed. And so we've been towing a lot of cars, which people don't care about. If we say, we towed a car, for what? It was, how do you know? Well, we don't have to give everything away, but we are just towing cars, and we'll go to Oakland and tow a car. We'll go to Daly City and tow a car. And then the person has to come retrieve the car. Mm-hmm. And when they come to retrieve the car, we can tell them why the car was towed. And then hopefully they can go, was that you in the car, not you in the car? If it's not, then pay all this money because the fine is very high. And sometimes that will just deter them from getting involved the next time. Yeah. So those are some of the things we're doing. We have a whole task force that we're working with CHP and other agencies besides San Francisco to try to work in a coordinated effort. So we now know, well, they just left Oakland, so we now know when they're coming, mm-hmm. opposed to, and I know that does no good for the public to say, oh, you know when they come, why don't you stop them? Because if we barricade off the streets, I mean, you can't go anywhere either. So we have to balance all that. So we're working with that way.
Understood. Wow, there's a lot there. Neighborhood Watch, do they have a role to play in all this?
Absolutely, absolutely. We partner with San Francisco Safe, and they help us with all the neighborhood watches. They're professionals at that. They know what things to look for in your neighborhood. They have creative ideas on how to stop certain things that are happening, from barking dogs to even helping us figure out how to deal with sideshows. So San Francisco Safe is great at that, and we partner with them and have been partnering with them since 1976 on neighborhood watches. And it's always surprising when people go, oh, who is this safe organization? Well, it has been around since 1976. So they are available and very helpful in helping you start a neighborhood watch. And they also do security surveys for businesses as well as residents as well, which is a service if you're a resident, it's free if you're a resident. For businesses, there may be a slight fee, but it is an excellent thing to have done to your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if SAFE does this, but NERT, which is the Neighborhood Emergency Response Team, has been mobilized around sort of education. So being able to sort of leave educational materials either on doorsteps, et cetera, without interacting with anyone. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if that's something that SF Safe could do also, sort of be able to distribute just information to folks. We had a couple of people who talked about even their own roommates not really sort of adhering to social distancing, thinking this whole thing's a hoax. And it's like, what can we do in order to sort of get more information out to folks who might not think this is real?
I think one of the issues is that a lot of people thought, oh, this was just like the flu. But I think as time goes on, I think real is starting to hit. I notice real is starting to hit this week. I know that San Francisco State puts out a lot of stuff on their website, as well as they have a Twitter account, and they have a Nextdoor account. So, look out for those things, search it, and you should be able to find some. I know the city has put out those social distancing posters and signs, stay home. I got some right here in the office, 6 feet apart. What's the other one say? Yeah, 6 feet apart, and they're in multiple languages. And we're starting to pass those out to the stores and have them posted on the windows and things like that. Again, in a short amount of time, really, if you think about it, really at the beginning of March seemed like the longest month ever. But in the beginning of the March, it was like, wow, this happened. And now we have signage. Now we have proper rules, and we're only trying to get better at doing this. And I think the people in San Francisco, and especially in the Bayview, we can do this and we can get through this, but we just gotta stay home.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about business closing times in the Bayview and sort of D10 and parts of D11, I think.
Yeah, this has been an issue because the longer stores stay open, again, the more people are exposed, the more people are encouraged to go out, and the point is to stay home. So, the essential businesses, we want them to stay open. And thankfully, the mayor decided, after we saw problems in the police department with them staying open late, to limit the hours from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. for all essential businesses. That's everybody. And I even think in Bayview, they can even be limited more. But that's not up to me. I have presented that to, my bosses and said, I think they should be from 10 to 6 p.m., especially some of the corner liquor stores, because even though they have essential stuff in them, the majority of people are going in there for some alcohol or beers and things like that. They're not going in there to buy food, really. And I personally monitored some of those stores, and that's not good for us. At this time, it's not good for us. We need our immune systems to be as great as they possibly be. So the people that have alcohol issues, we need to address them, and that's why I've talked to the Department of Public Health about that to help us out with that. But I really think we should even limit those hours even more to prevent the hanging out and the drinking and stuff on the street. Because when I go up and talk to people, they're like, oh man, this is nothing. Oh man, I can't force them to do anything. I can only educate them. That's what we've decided to do in San Francisco.
There's a lot there. And we thank you for that. Another question sort of come through is homelessness. How are we dealing with homeless issues now versus before the pandemic, before March? And what role is the SFPD playing?
So, homelessness is an issue in San Francisco, but it's not just a city issue. It is everyone's issue that lives here. In Bayview, we have the largest amount of motorhomes with homeless people in them. How are we dealing with that now that we're in a pandemic? We're not moving homeless people around. We don't want people to be moving. We want them to be staying where they are, because the more we move people, the more we spread the virus. So we're saying is we're keeping them in, and there are agencies that are giving tents to people. So you're going to see more tents than you've seen, and it doesn't look good, but we're trying to make sure the tents are 6 feet apart. And think what we're doing. We are isolating, and I say we, the city is doing this, not the police department, but we're isolating the people into a tent. So therefore, they're not spreading the virus. That's the #1 goal right now. So no one's being moved. And we've had some issues in some of the shelters where people had to be taken out of the shelters because there was a COVID outbreak. So then you got to clean the things up. So this is new to everyone. So we're just trying to work with it the best we can. But the police department is not moving anybody. We're not enforcing any of the homeless rules at this time. But we are referring everyone that has sent me requests about this homeless encampment. We're referring them to the what we have as HSOC, the homeless outreach team, right? And they're with a whole health department, a lot of different people, homeless coalition. They're all working together. We're forwarding them to them so that at least they can get a count as to where everyone is.
Wow, sounds like that's always been a big issue. It's a bigger issue now, and it sounds like you need a little bit of our patience. So hopefully we can sort of get through this. Someone actually asked, quite honestly, what can we as sort of D10 or Bayview residents do as far as supporting that 6 p.m. closure time?
Oh, I mean, again, you would have to talk to your supervisors, things like the city attorney, because I think it would be good for us at this time. Is in the faster we get at getting over the pandemic, then we can open up the regular times and deal with it, right? Everyone is taking a hit, and I know people want to stay in business. I cannot fault anybody for trying to make the money, right? And to keep working. I understand it's devastating to a lot of people, but I think for health reasons, this is why we need to do it. And go out and look for yourselves. Go out on the 3rd Street corridor, as it gets closer to the nighttime or early morning and see what's out there. Peer pressure is great too. Maybe you might say, hey, you know what? Talk to the store owners yourself and see what happens. I think they on it because everyone I've talked to is like, when they said cut it from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., nobody was like, oh, no big deal, we understand, right? But they need support in that. They need support.
There's a lot there.